Broadcasting stations. It's time for Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here's your host, the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
It was absolutely amazing at FedEx Forum last night. I mean it. I don't know which play I thought that was the most spectacular. We'll get into that in a second. 52 points, new franchise record. He's already got, like 6 games in the 40s?
Yeah, that's about right.
Let me just tell you, too, they have such a killer instinct. Do you know how many first quarters they've had 40 points this year?
How many?
14. 14 40-point first quarters. They come out with a killer's attitude. Now, they give up those leads a lot, but and they gave up this one, too. They had an 11-point lead in this game for most of the game, and then they kept coming back. Never surrendered the lead, though. I don't think they ever surrendered it. But Ja was simply amazing. By the way, welcome to March on this 1st of March, 2022, a day. You know, in Chicago, they used to say, March comes in like a lion and goes out like a lamb. I got to tell you, March is coming in like a lamb today. It may be 70 today. Glorious sunshine outside. Welcome to spring, or so it feels. Last night, there's 2 plays that everybody is talking about. So the first one is a dunk over 7'1" Jacob Podol. And I believe Pete Pranica described it as the greatest block, or greatest dunk in Ja's tenure.
It's hard to argue with.
Well, it's cool because he goes over a 7-footer.
In a 1-on-3 situation, he blows by Primo to get to that spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's unbelievable.
I don't know. He's had some 360 dunks that I thought were amazing.
And layups even.
How about the little one, I think that was the 50, when he goes into the paint and just spins and that guy doesn't know what to do and he just goes up and finger rolls it. I mean,
you're right. It's just as impressive. I agree.
I think I like some of the 360 dunks, maybe not from necessarily this game, that I think might be as impressive or more impressive. This is big because it's over big, you know? And as you said, you take on 3, you take on a 7-1 guy who, by the way, has had a couple of blocks. He blocked you.
Oh, yeah.
And you blew it down. But to me, that's not the play. If I'm going to remember this game, and I'm going to remember the 52, I'm going to remember the teamwork that was involved with .4 left in the half. I mean, I don't think you could practice this thing, run it 100 times, and get it right.
It's one of the best passes I've ever
maybe 1
seen.
or 2 times. That's it.
One of the best passes I've ever seen.
I know it.
Never seen anything like it in my life.
If you don't know anything, picture if you're doing it from camera view, if you're on that side, underneath the basket to your left is Steven Adams. And he is saying to Ja, go deep.
Quarterback.
He is. And he's throwing it like a quarterback. It's like a pass with a football. And Ja goes deep to the left corner of the end zone. I mean, the end line of the end zone. Like he's got to come down with his feet in. Of course, you don't have to in this. You have to have your feet in when you take off. He goes up, and in one motion, on this perfect pass to where only he can get it, he catches the ball, releases within .4, and falling out of bounds, the ball goes through to give the Grizzlies a 10-point halftime lead. Think about that. That's a 94-foot pass. Pinpoint to the left back of the end zone where the guy goes up, and it's not like he goes up and has to get his feet down. He has to go up and release the ball, and it goes through.
That sequence from the dunk to the end of the quarter is I couldn't believe what I was watching, which is really the best reaction you can have to watching an NBA basketball game is what in the world is going on. It was unbelievable.
It was incredible. I'm not sure I've ever seen a better play in Memphis. Period. I'm thinking about it. I've seen great performances. Remembering D'Angelo, remembering some of the stuff D Rose did with Memphis, or CDR, what he did with Memphis. And there have been unbelievable performances. This obviously is the greatest offensive performance in the history of the franchise in the 25 or 26 years now that it's been here. That's the only one that's ever gotten past 50, which is interesting. 29 of the 30 teams now have had a 50-point performer. There's only 30 teams in the league. I don't remember which is the one team that doesn't have a 50-point performer, but that's pretty phenomenal in its own right. But the league is 75 years old. But 52 points out of this guy who just what's amazing to me is I've watched a lot of pro teams too. I covered them in Dallas in the 80s. I'm not sure I have ever seen a professional team of any kind, baseball, basketball, football, that acts like a high school team. I mean, that's, to me, kind of what they're like. When they took the 50 picture and they're calling, I think they were trying to get Jaren Jackson into the picture. They're come in here, and they do the 5-0 thing. I mean, that's incredible. And the way they were just all over him and touching him and dancing with him. And, I mean, their joy for him was so incredible. And you don't see that with pros. I've always remembered this statement. It was about a year and a half after Joey Dorsey had left the university and he came back. And I put him on the air because we used to do the postgame show in the vestibule when you entered the locker room. So there's a little area there, and one goes off to the locker room, the other to the right goes to the offices, and they used to have a dining room back there. And we used to do that right in that little vestibule as you entered the locker room space. And Joey Dorsey was in there. And Joey was just saying, man, I just miss this place so much. I really do. I just miss college basketball. I said, why? He said, well, college basketball, you're really for one another. You really care about each other. You want everybody to do really well. In this NBA league, that guy next to you, he's trying to take your minutes. There's a feeling of almost hostility. It's just not like it is. That is not the way it is with the Grizzlies. These Grizzlies celebrate one another like no other pro team I have ever witnessed. And last night, they were basically saying, we're getting you 50. You know what? I'm going to say, I think the Oak City Thunder did that for Russell Westbrook to get all those triple-doubles. Like, they boxed everybody out, and they said, we're not touching the ball. That's yours. We want you to get the triple-double. So they did that toward the end, and so that they must have liked Russell Westbrook. So there has been that kind of cooperation that I've seen.
But they weren't winning like the Grizzlies are.
No. And this joy that they have for one another, it's really something to behold. I like I say, I don't think I have ever seen a professional team act like this. I mean, they're like high school and college kids, the way they pull for one another and are so happy when somebody does well. It's not like, uh-oh, I'm going to lose my minutes now because this guy did really good tonight. It's not that way.
I agree, and I think there's also tangible evidence of that too. Whereas one thing that's pretty common in the NBA is like young teams with a bunch of rookies and younger guys that are a little bit inexperienced. Even though they might be losing a lot, they play really hard. That's the one thing you can do as a young player is play hard. There's not a lot of precedent for teams that are doing a lot of substantial winning and have had success to play as hard and hustle the way the Grizzlies do, transition offense, transition defense, and so many guys playing hard. It's just they have the characteristics of a young, inexperienced team while also doing all this winning. And I think that combination speaks to what you're talking about, being unselfish, caring about success and team chemistry and camaraderie and those kind of things. I think it's tangible in all aspects of the way they play and the way they interact.
That's why I think it's going to be so much fun to watch this team over the next 3 or 4 years, because I think they're going to keep all the key pieces. I couldn't imagine that Ja would leave this team now. They've already signed Jaren for him. They're going to have to figure out a way to do Bane. They've got Dylan Brooks already, and he'll I think really will improve the team, at least on the defensive side. And by the way, last night, that was the one negative to the game for me. The third quarter, neither team played defense in the third quarter. I couldn't believe that was a Greg Popovich team.
It's a great. The second group for the Spurs is one of the most immature groups of 5 in the NBA that I've ever seen. Period. Not to say like actual maturity, but basketball maturity. Not getting back on defense on made baskets. The Grizzlies are able to push it.
Oh, yeah.
And the first game against the Spurs in San Antonio was the same way. And I just can't believe. And it's not Greg. I don't want to blame it all on Greg Popovich. He's a very young team. They are inexperienced players, and they just traded a lot of pieces, so a lot of new guys getting minutes. But I've never seen a group, especially a Greg Popovich group, not be able to get back on defense and match up the way they can.
It was the third quarter. Both sides was awful defense. Well, and look, I mean, Grizzlies had 42 points in the first quarter.
Yeah.
Most of that was against their first teamers. So this is a Greg Popovich who's 2 wins away from becoming the winningest regular season coach in the history of the NBA. And it's a done deal. I mean, we know he's going to end up being just that. So, wow, I mean, it was crazy. But back to the direction that I was flowing here, I'm so looking forward to this team because as much as I'm building up the 52 points, it's nothing, in my estimation, compared to what the teams have done. You know, if I think about just team play in Memphis, that 38-2 team that should have been 40-0, that was a great team. Their accomplishments were great. They should have been 40-0, and they should have won a national title. Then that would have really been great. I'm thinking the teams, the first one that won a series in the playoffs, that's bigger than what Ja did with 52, in my mind. This team has a chance. I don't think it's this year, but maybe. But that's what I'm looking forward to, seeing these kinds of achievements as a team. And if we get these kind of tantalizing things from Ja along the way, I mean, who's to say he doesn't get a 60 in there like Michael Jordan did? I don't think anybody's going to ever get 100 again like Will Chamberlain. But there's just too much talent in the league for that to occur. But, I mean, 52, he had double digits in every quarter. That's pretty consistent. But, you play one night, you're fresh, and the team's played 3 out of 4 nights, and they don't care, and they're a bad team, and you decide you're going to go for it tonight. I mean, I could see 60, couldn't you?
Last night especially, I thought he was in reach of it, so there's no telling if it can happen. Now that he knows he can get there, I'm sure it could happen again.
And he's human. That's what I love about him. He's so human. I love the way he picked up his daughter during the interview with Rob Fisher. I love the little pregame thing he did with his daughter. He loves his family. You know, you see the love with T, too. I mean, it's just it's a great story. But he flat out wants to win, too. I mean, it's not just about him. He'll set people up. Last night it was about him, but that's because his team said, we want you to get 50.
But that's not the way they usually play at all, you know? The fact that they could win like that last night with him taking that amount of shots, usually the ball, if you watch the Grizzlies a lot, you see the ball in Steven Adams' hands a lot, facilitating offense, Desmond Bane on a lot of cuts, those 2 guards, and then the last resort is, okay, shot clock getting down, we'll give it to Ja to go score, or transition, Ja goes score. He doesn't dominate possessions the way he did last night. That's 2 completely opposite almost ways of playing, and they win doing both ways. It's unbelievable.
It's just fun. I can't wait for postseason, college and pros, that is for sure. And it's March, so we are embarking upon that journey, and it will be a ton of fun. I go back to this. I'm going to say to you, I'm asking you because you've been involved in a lot of college basketball practices. If you set up just to simulate the Steven Adams pass, the catch, the release, the bucket, 100 times, how many times do you think you make that?
Yeah, in practices I was involved in, we used to do like full court plays like that once a practice, and if like 3 groups go to do it, you might get like 1 out of the 3 on any given day completing that pass. The fact that in the middle of a game, not like, okay, we're gonna go run this after a timeout, just took it out, threw it on the money. I've never seen anything like that.
0.4.
Yeah, 0.4 seconds.
I'm telling you, that's 2 or 3 times out of 100 with just simulating it. I'm not sure you can do that 100 times in a game. It's just amazing.
The shot's incredible, but you cannot overstate the pass.
No, the pass is unreal.
Unbelievable.
It was just that teamwork. And the fact that he puts it where it is, but then Ja's got to catch and release within 0.4, and he's falling out of bounds. It's just, whew.
Can't write that. It's unbelievable.
To me, that's the best play of the year in the NBA. If that had to be, well, I didn't see top. If anybody, did you see top 10 plays?
I didn't see top 10. I did see the ones that, they do the nominees or whatever. So,
right.
like, Bam Adebayo had a good dunk last night. You have Ja's dunking that play. I would think 2 of the top 5 at least have to be those 2.
If anybody knows, text us on the AutoZone text line, 360-8255, 901-360-8255. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Let us know, that is for sure. I'm sitting in the Family Leisure Studio. Make sure you get by and get started on your outdoor living space. 70 degrees today, it tells you. Pools are in stock and ready to purchase. We'll be jumping in the pool soon. The all-new 2022 patio furniture hitting the floor daily. In stock hot tubs ready for delivery. You get great deals on play gyms. Be a hero. Get a play gym. Your neighborhood will love you. There's trampolines, grills, and, of course, the outdoor kitchens are so cool in this day and age. And the best are at Family Leisure. We got a busy show. We'll talk some baseball with Tim Doolin here in less than 10 minutes. Mike DeCourcy is going to join us, and I got a question for him about bracketology and the net. I don't understand, and not that I'm complaining, but I don't understand how Houston, which slipped last night, from a 3 to a 4 in the net.
Huge slip.
How are they a 4 without a quad 1 win? Maybe he'll have the answer for all of that. He's written a nice story about Roy Williams and retirement, too. We'll get all of that from Mike DeCourcy. That will come later. I mentioned the baseball meetings. So they met all day yesterday, and they met past like 7 o'clock when they thought this thing was going to wrap up. And then they kept meeting, and oh, my goodness, there was midnight. And they said, we're going to try to get this done. And then they adjourned at 2:30 with no deal. 18 minutes ago, they went back to the table. Tim Doolin will let us know what the heck is going on. Still, they are hung up on several issues. 12 or 14 teams in the postseason. Luxury tax penalties. Are they going to stay? Is the threshold still going to remain the same? And keep in mind, 23 of the 30 teams have to be in agreement. 23 of the 30. And apparently, it seems, this is from a couple of writers with inside knowledge. Maybe they know owners. Maybe they are getting this sense from the Players Association. They have contacts with them, and this is their perception of what's going on. But it almost seems now MLB is willing to lose a month of games. Their tone was apparently more threatening at the end of last night. So we'll wait. We'll see, like everybody else.
I have a top 10 update. Number 2 was the pass. Number 1 was the dunk from Ja.
It's crazy.
I think it could be flipped. I think you're right.
I think it should be flipped. Because, look, Ja's going to have another dunk over a 7-footer. He's done that before. That play, that's impossible.
You've never seen anything like that.
It's impossible.
I agree. Totally agree.
How can that be?
I agree.
Get those folks from ESPN on the phone. We got to talk to them. Number 2 was the pass. Number 1 was the dunk. Crazy. That is for sure. Aaron Rodgers is looking for $45+ million per year, a new deal. Here's the problem Green Bay's got, really. I don't know what they're going to do because they're already $40 million over the cap. They want Rodgers. Can they afford Rodgers? That'll be really interesting to see. You've really got to hold on to Aaron Rodgers, but what are you going to lose in order to sign him? Because you got to shed yourself of a whole lot of money. Kyler Murray wants a long-term deal with the Arizona Cardinals. Long-term. That's what his agent is saying, that if they want him, they have to commit long-term. I would have said beginning of last year, he was worth it. End of last year, is he a guy who's a Super Bowl quarterback?
He can't win down the stretch, it seems. But that's also a Cliff Kingsbury staple, so it's hard to put that all on Kyler. But yeah. I saw some stat comparisons yesterday to Tua Tagovailoa, and they're actually fairly similar statistics, which I'm not saying they're the same quarterback, but it's just thought-provoking.
I got to tell you, I like Tua.
But he's not Kyler.
He's not Kyler Murray. He is not as good as Kyler Murray. And then the other story of interest is the Art Briles story. He has resigned as offensive coordinator at Grambling. I don't know if he ever got there. He signed a deal, I think, 4 days ago. And then he did not want to be a distraction. So he's not coached collegiately since 2016. We're talking 6 years. He was fired from Baylor because of the way he handled the sexual assault investigation. He was absolutely downplaying it. He was totally insensitive to the women that were involved. I don't know that he purposely allowed anything to happen, but once he knew it had occurred, he turned the other way. I think that's pretty evident. My question is there a statute of limitations on this? Is he done forever? Remember, he signed with a CFL team, and they went crazy. They protested. He had to resign from that. Here's Hugh Jackson going to sign him for this, and saying that, there's times for forgiveness, and he's paid his penance, and he signed him. And I don't know that the university, and it could have been the university that put the pressure, because they basically said Hugh Jackson's foundation or whatever it was that I think might have been chipping in money for it, that does not represent this school. So I've got a feeling Grambling put the pressure on to end this thing. And I thought Art Briles was terrible the way he handled that. I really did. And I thought he should be fired. But here we are 6 years later. Is there an end to this? I mean, should he be given another chance? Or do you just say he handled – because remember, he was never found by an inquiry of any NCAA violations, right? So this is all the way – and he wasn't the perpetrator in these things, but maybe – was he the enabler? I think it was mainly after the fact. So – maybe I'm a little more forgiving.
Well, it's a good question.
If I were the father of any of those victims, I probably would feel a lot differently. I say that up front. But if I try from a distance to measure, I would say 6 years not able to do anything that is what you do for a living, for, basically hiding stuff for a little bit. I don't know that you haven't paid your price.
Yeah, how many years do you serve when you're guilty in the court of public opinion? It's not a real sentence.
It's going to be over 6 years.
Yeah, apparently so,
because he's out this time. That is for certain. We are sitting, as we said, in the Family Leisure Studios. And a reminder: this portion of the show brought to you by Ken Garland. Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. Ken knows what a big deal it is. You're going to build that dream home. It's time. You've been waiting a long time. You've had land in your family. You're not sure how to utilize. He knows. You're looking for land, he's got it, or you just know this is the time. This is when you want to build. So he works with you so closely to make sure everything is absolutely perfect. He sees little details, and he sees the big picture all at once. Please go to kengarland.com if you're ready to build or renovate. Could be a renovation with innovation because you love your location in your home. You want modern amenities. He's a specialist at that. Again, you'll see it at kengarland.com. Then call and talk to him. He's fun to talk to. 751-1632. Ken Garland Custom Home Builders. We'll pause for just a second. When we come back, we'll find out the progress on baseball with our insider. That's Tim Doolin. He's right around the corner.
Brett Norsworthy and Gabe Kuhn drive you home with Sports Time on Sports 56. Brought to you by DeSoto Auto Sales. Weekday afternoons from 3 to 6 right here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions. Solutions.
I'm Brian Elder. There are a lot of ways to ruin your roof. Probably none worse than ice and snow. Google the term ice dam, and you'll understand that standing snow and ice can destroy your home's interior. Call me, 867-0303. Damaged ceilings or interior? It's time to call Brian Elder Roofing, 867-0303. We're a platinum preferred contractor with Owens Corning, so we've been vetted and trained by the best. You've known the name for years. Call me before you call your insurance company. We won't try to sell you a new roof if you don't need one. We'll measure your roof from outer space. Call me, 867-0303 or BrianElderRoofing.com.
Call 867-0303. Brian Elder's Roofing Solutions.
Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company, we have it all. From handmade Amish leather belts, fine and casual clothing, boots, casual boots, work boots, fancy boots, and even safety-toed boots. Lots of cowboy hats to choose from, even Nebo lights, Orco hard coolers, good-looking duck head dress shirts, duck head caps, shorts, and pants. Tons of jeans from Ariat, Wrangler, Devil Dog, and Kimes Ranch jeans. At Hewlett & Dunn, we have a great selection of Old South t-shirts and caps. Fine clothing from dress to casual to Sunday best. Enjoy choosing from UFO's orthopedic-approved shoes. Hewlett & Dunn Boot and Clothing Company. Boots of every size, every color, every skin. Great quality Western, work, and safety toe boots. Hewlett & Dunn Boots and Clothing Company. 111 North Center Street, Collierville. Hewlett & Dunn. Hewlett & Dunn, serving you and your family since 1961.
Have you wanted to speak a new language but thought it'd be too difficult or take too much time? Then try Babbel. In just 15 minutes a day, Babbel teaches you conversations that you will actually use. With 14 languages and lesson topics like travel, business, relationships, and more, you'll learn what matters most to you. Babbel. Language for life. Learn a new language with ease. Go to Babbel.com to try for free. That's BABBEL.com.
If you want to make money in sales, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. If you can sell, Flynn Broadcasting has a great career waiting for you. If you can sell, we have great benefits, salary, commission, sales leads, and a great place to work. If you can sell, let us know today. Send your resume to jobs@flynn.com. Can everyone sell? No. But if you can, Flynn Broadcasting wants you. Apply today at jobs@flynn.com. Start your great career today at jobs@flynn.com. Flynn Broadcasting wants you.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
We are presented by the good folks at Homer. Please get on Lamar. That's Highway 78, first exit in Mississippi's Craft Road. Turn left. You'll be there. You'll be at the place where I think they have set the standard for the way car business should be done. Their general manager, Chris True, always says they're getting new cars in, and when they do, and they sell them to you, you will never pay more than sticker price. Not every dealership can say that these days. They are taking advantage of the times. That never happens at Homer Skelton Hyundai. We're going to go on the AutoZone phone line to Tim Doolin in just a minute. I'll let you know this portion of the show is brought to you by Old Dominick, the spirit place of Memphis. Well, it's the place they make it. It is our hometown distillery, hometown partner of the Tigers. They remind everybody to share a sip responsibly, and they are really cool because they're the only place where you can get a distillery tour, a tasting, and learn about the history with old Domenico Canali, and then learn about the craft of distilling from grain to glass. It is neat, and if you want to check it out, they got an after-hours bar that is really neat too. Elegant, not stuffy, and you can try the whole portfolio of all the Old Dominick spirits, including that new bourbon that's coming out. I can't wait to try that. I just love Old Dominick. So, baseball met until early, no deal. They've just about a half an hour ago sat down again, the Players Association, MLB owners. Tim Doolin, from the reports I read, it's not real promising. Tell me something you know.
I just talked to Dan O'Dowd with MLB Now, about 30 minutes ago, Wolo, and he says it's going to get done today.
Really?
And I don't think they would have met as long as they did last night if they were that far apart. And I'm not saying they're not critical issues, but to be honest with you, they're talking about more things than even the media thought they would. They're talking about the shift. They're talking about a couple of other things that really, we didn't think on the outside that were totally relevant to this negotiating, trying to get this settled. So that's a good sign, too, in the sense that they're talking about other things besides just the arbitration-eligible guys and the bonus pools. And I think one of the critical things that the players have leverage on is all the owners want a 14-team playoff instead of 12. So, but in the same regard, the owners have, and I don't know if the viewers or the listeners are aware of, but under the agreement that all the teams have with the television contract is the owners and the teams will still get paid fully by the TV contract if they play 140 games. So that's something that the owners are holding over the players' head because the players, they know that. So I would hate to see that happen because I think we're going to be totally disingenuous with the fans' support and not, just continue to shoot ourselves in the foot because, with everything we have going on in the country between the pandemic and the war going on and other sports that are thriving and other sports are getting inflation and other sports are doing really well. I don't think baseball can afford to not get this thing done today, and I'm optimistic. I guess partly just because I'm hopeful, but I do think that they're going to get it done today.
I hope you are right. I want to start watching baseball. That is for sure. I didn't realize that part of these negotiations could be like rules. That's why they have the rules committee. So if they're trying to better the game, that takes a vote of the Players Association and the owners to put a change like stopping the shift?
I think I'm not 100% sure on all the dynamics of it, but I think if they're discussing it, then they can get something accomplished today. And look, we've been on this soapbox before. It's just to me, the integrity of the game has gotten way too far to the analytics and the sabermetrics, and it's not only affecting players' pay because different types of players. Let's say a second baseman doesn't have to be a traditional second baseman. They just put him out there because they've got three guys on that side of the infield, and it eliminates jobs. And to me, it's really affecting how the game's being played and the enjoyment of the game. Right now, you go watch a game, it's 3 hours, but that part doesn't bother me. I know if I'm going to go watch a game at the Redbirds, I know it's going to take, 45 minutes to an hour to get there. It's going to be a 3-hour game, and it's going to be another 45 minutes. That's my day. I'm planning on doing that and experiencing it. Mm-hmm. What I don't want to see when I go to a game is I don't want to see no action. I don't want to see strikeouts and a few home runs. I want to see hit and runs. I want to see great plays made by defenders. I want to see balls put in play more often.
How though do you legislate that other than the shift, which to me, if I'm a player and I'm a pull hitter and they're shifting me that way, I learn to hit the other way.
Here's the deal. Well, the problem with that is that makes very good common sense. However, if you're a player and you're understanding where the game's going based on the analytics, is they are paying players to hit home runs. They don't care that they're striking out. They don't care that they're hitting 230.
Right.
So if you're a player, let's say you're a player and you're going, okay, for me to get paid, for me to get a long-term contract and make the kind of money that those guys are making, you're going to get 600 at-bats. So what are you going to do? You're going to say, I'm going to swing out my 600 times, and I can hit 30 home runs. I'm not worried about striking out because they're not worried about it. So back in the day, on-base percentage was critical. Putting balls in play was critical. Runs scored was critical. Now it's all about the home run or bust. So they're not – a left-handed power hitter is not going to go, oh, well, they're playing a shift and playing me to pull and the shortstop side's wide open. I'll just shoot a little single through there. I'm not getting paid to hit singles. So that's the argument on that.
So the
note.
contact hitter is out of baseball now.
Well, that's why you're seeing all the launch angle stuff. I mean, what's happening is, and I had a chance to talk to several of the Dodgers executives at Mookie's wedding, and they asked, and I said, look, based on what I'm seeing at the youth levels, is now we're teaching young kids to lift the ball. We're not even teaching him how to hit yet. He's not even a good hitter yet, and we're teaching him how to hit fly balls. He's hitting a 200-foot fly ball that his grandmother's clapping for, and it's caught.
Crazy.
So I mean, it's just we got. I think we as an industry, we got to think of the big picture and the integrity of the game, what it's meant to be, and balance it. There's got to be a balance.
So what would you do? Would you just basically draw parameters that you have to have two guys?
I would either eliminate. I would either eliminate the shift. I didn't mean to interrupt. I would either eliminate the shift and make sure there's two infielders on each side of second base,
right?
Or if they want to compromise a little bit, you're allowed to have three guys on one side. They just can't be they can't be playing midfield like softball. You can't put a guy in shallow right field.
So they would have to be on the infield dirt? Or if it's an all encompassing artificial turf in the layout of where the dirt would be.
Exactly. That's what I would do. And either one of those is progress, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think what happen is we would get fans more excited about it. Everybody wants to see home runs, but I want to see a guy stealing bases. I want to see a guy making great plays in the infield. That's Roberto Alomar, that type of guy. So I don't know if that'll get accomplished today, but ultimately, hopefully, they get a deal done, and we're headed to spring training and rolling.
There are purists out there that loved it when the National League had one team and the American League had one team. And we had a World Series that don't really totally appreciate even the playoffs. I've always liked the playoffs. I'm not against the expansion from 12 to 14. I'm going to tell you why I'm not opposed to it. When they went to 12, all of a sudden that extra wild card team, all of a sudden there were so many other teams in play that might have brought up guys from the minors just to see, that would have basically tanked games, all this other stuff. Now you've got a chance to get in the postseason, so these games become more interesting. I mean, if a team's 14 games out at the middle of the end of August or middle or early September, that's it. They're done. They're not even trying. But now you've got all these teams, 14 of the 30, that are really going to try, and making games so much more important.
No, you're spot on, and that's 100% accurate, and it's the way it should be. And I think players are okay with 14. They're just using that because they have the ability to say no as some leverage, and it's basically why Derek Jeter stepped down. I mean, that's basically what you're talking about is why he stepped down. He didn't sign up for the Marlins to tank, and he felt like they had enough money to go spend to get a few more free agents to make them competitive. And this guy doesn't like to lose, obviously. He played for the Yankees. And so he's not going to go in. It's not like he needs a paycheck. He's not going to work with his hand tied behind his back where he can't put together a club that he thinks can ultimately get to a World Series.
Well, that makes the Marlins ownership group look pretty bad, huh?
Yeah, well, I think it does. I mean, here's a club. I've talked to their scouting director several times. And he told me, they need 8,000 fans to come to the game every day to break even. Well, and they ain't getting that. That's a problem.
That's pitiful in a major league
market. That's
a
bigger issue than. Yeah. And look, these owners are smart guys. They're billionaires. You might on paper lose money, but the value of your franchise is increasing dramatically every year because there's another guy out there that is willing to pay. So for you not to, invest another $30 million or $20 million in a couple of really good arms to help you get over that hump to get to the playoffs, that's when Derek Jeter says, he cries uncle, I'm out.
Back to resolution. Last thing, we got a minute. Most experts that watch these things say that baseball's done a very bad job with their lower-level players in terms of salary. Of all the major leagues, they are the least paid at the bottom. Is that going to get fixed in this? Is that a point of contention?
Well, they've increased and gotten close, I think, on minimum salaries. I think it was going to jump another $200,000, which I think is good. The critical issue is allowing that young player to get to arbitration sooner than they're getting to it now, and that way they're one step closer to free agency.
Will they
the
get
one
that?
thing in defense of and I think so, and one thing in defense, real quick, is that Major League Baseball is the only of the only sport of the three major sports that once you sign a contract, it's 100% guaranteed. So Mookie Betts is getting $360 million for 12 years. It's 100% guaranteed. If he gets hurt tomorrow and his career's over, he's getting that money. It's not that way in the NBA. It's not that way in the NFL. So
I know it's not that way in the NFL.
That's pretty good.
I think it's in the NBA you get that money no matter
what.
what.
I don't know that it's 100. I don't think it's 100% guaranteed, but maybe it is. But anyway, Major League Baseball, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
But they got to get more of the lower to middle aged player needs to have an opportunity to get to arbitration soon.
Timmy, I hope next week we're talking about, instead of labor issues, who's going to win, who's going to be bad. That would be fun.
That will be fun.
All right. Thank you, my friend. We appreciate it. Have a great week.
All right, Wolo. Thank you.
That's our man, Tim Doolin, on baseball. He is brought to you by the Eflin Insurance Group. Well, they are special because of the way they work. They get to know you. Yes, it's collaborative. They will sit you down. If they're selling you life insurance or an auto program or home insurance, they sit you down. They get to know you. They figure out what you need to protect, and then they figure out your budget, and they match you up perfectly. It is the way it should be done. Same thing with commercial insurance. He's really good at protecting small to mid-sized businesses, access to a lot of different programs. Once again, he gets to know you. What's your growth going to be like? He'll take care of you. Big Tiger fan, too. In the number for the Eflin Insurance Group, it's 901-386-GER, 4777. He's a delightful guy. Call him. You'll get to know him, and then better yet, he'll get to know you to protect you with the Eflin Insurance Group. We pause for a second. Our Hall of Famer from the Sporting News, Mike DeCourcy, comes your way in just a minute.
You have opinions?
Like a splinter in your mind, driving you mad.
We want to hear them. Call or text us on the AutoZone listener line at 360-8255. That's the AutoZone listener line at 901-360-8255.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Moving is stressful, but Black Tie Moving can take the worry out of the process. Whether you're moving across town or across country, moving your home or your office, your personal moving concierge from Black Tie Moving will work with you to design a plan that perfectly fits your budget and needs. And they're available 24/7 to answer any questions you have. Give Black Tie Moving a call at 901-316-6196 or go to blacktiemoving.com/Memphis to get your personal, no obligation quote from the moving experts at Black Tie Moving.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
At Jason's Deli, when you're dining in or picking up curbside, you can expect wholesome food and no surprises, just delicious sandwiches, crisp salads, and quick quality meals made with the freshest ingredients and no artificial trans fats, MSG, high fructose corn syrup, or artificial colors and dyes. Around here, a lot of thought goes into what we put into our food and what we take out of it, because you're not just taking a bite, you're getting a taste of who we are. New items are constantly being created to expand our menu for all tastes and special diets with vegan and gluten-free options available. Convenience and on-time delivery you can count on. It's just a click away at jasonsdeli.com, so whether you need to feed 5 people or 5,000, the team at Jason's Deli, they have the credentials and the commitment to keep you satisfied. Freshness is nearby at Jason's Deli with locations at Ridgeway in the Park Place Center, Poplar and Highland, Germantown Road in Cordova, and on Goodman Road in Olive Branch. Jason's Deli. It's wholesome food and no surprises.
Now, back to Wolo and Friends on Sports 56, presented by Homer Skelton Hyundai. Here once again is the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin.
To Indy we go via the AutoZone listener line. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Our Hall of Famer Mike DeCourcy joins us. And I think you all know Mike has been a big part of the show for many, many years. And I love Mike, but I must say now I may have a new love from the sporting news. That would be Bill Bender, because in Bill Bender's bracket today, Bill's got Memphis as an 11 seed. He's got SMU as a 12 seed. He's got Houston in 3 teams from the American. As of, I guess, when did you do your bracket, Mike, for Fox?
My last one was on Friday, and my next one will be posted probably in 2 hours.
We're the first 4 out, and we're like 3 in there. I mean, this is heartbreaking.
That was then.
That was then. Tell me what is now. I can love you again.
Well, now I can tell you that the Tigers will be on the inside when the bracket is released later this afternoon. I think I can get that specific. I don't think the Fox people would be mad if I told you that. So,
love it.
So it may not be. I may not have been as generous or as welcoming to the Tigers as Bill is, but still are on the right side of the cut line.
Well, that's good. On a serious note, I got a legit question for you, because I really don't understand quite the net. I like it. It's probably better than the old RPI, but I'm looking at it today. Houston slips from 3 to 4, but that's okay because other teams are in the mix and things change. Here's what I don't understand. Houston is still number 4 in that category in the net with 0 for 3 quad 1 wins. Kansas is 2 places behind them. They got double-digit quad 1s. Kentucky right behind them has 8 quad wins. Now, they have 6 quad 1 losses. I get that. But how in the world, 0-3, does Houston have a net ranking that high? I mean, it's good for Memphis, but I don't get it.
Right. Well, I think it's as simple as that. When they set out to do their ranking, we were told that it was going to be a combination, and they were advised not to make it a combination, but it was said to be a combination of predictive metrics. I also call them performance metrics, where how you play is the most important thing, not whether you win or lose. That's a Ken Palm concept. That's a Sagarin concept going way back. And that's the idea, is how do you play? And in that, margin of victory is really important, especially if you can beat really good teams by a lot of points. That impresses that ranking. And the net turned out, it was told, and the other wing is the achievement metrics, which are how many games did you win? How good were the teams you played?
Right.
Were a lot of them on the road, neutral, et cetera? And that's all there is. Win or lose. How much you won by, not a factor. And that is Kevin Pauga's KPI, and on the team sheet, the strength of record done by ESPN. Those are the only 2 achievement metrics that you'll find on the team sheets that the committee looks at. And it was supposed to be a combination of the 2, but it's turned out to be pretty much a performance/predictive metric. It's very close to Ken Palm. Ken Palm has Houston at 6. It's very similar. And if you look at it, I mean, Auburn doesn't rank super high compared to what one would expect with what they've achieved in Ken Palm. They're only 8. Net, same thing. Gonzaga 1. It really comes very close to replicating the Ken Palm results. I don't know if the formula is the same, but the results turn out very similar. And so that's what you have. And you have to, and so as a result, I think you have to understand that's what it is. I mean, not to pretend it's something that it isn't. I think the committee needs to admit that this is what we came up with, that this is the way it leans. That they've never really said that. We were told that it would be a combination, but I don't see much combination in there. I think the one team where it might reflect combination is Providence, which Ken Palm hates with a passion. I don't mean Ken himself, but right. The rating hates them. They're 39th with a 24-3 record and in a major league. And in the net, They aren't in strong position, but it's 25, which is reasonable. So that maybe suggests a bit of a combination. The rest of it doesn't really.
That's interesting. I think Memphis is right around that 39 number in Ken Palm. So you're saying Providence
and in the net they're 41.
Yeah.
So there's a very close correlation there with the Tigers as well.
Interesting. And that must be an anomaly for Providence with Ken Palm.
Yeah, I remember Providence is 11-1 in games of 2.2 possessions or less. That means you played in a lot of close games. They went to overtime with DePaul. They were down to the wire. They went to triple overtime with Xavier, although Xavier's very good or has a very good record. That's what they do. They beat you in the end, and it's not surprising if you look at their team because they're not overwhelmingly talented. They probably don't have any NBA players. They only have two top 100 players on their roster. So it's understandable. But, man, when you get to the end of the game, they grab it by the throat.
If the Tigers win, and they can't do anything but win at South Florida, we know that's disaster. They win that game and then beat Houston. Does it matter what they do in the AAC tournament?
Yeah, it matters to the extent that you can't damage your case. It's almost like playing South Florida all over again. You can't damage your case. You can't afford to damage your case. You can damage your case, but you can't afford to damage your case. Well, what would damage it? Any loss to anybody other than SMU or Houston. And it wouldn't be bad if you happen to, if you wind up on, in the 2-3 game playing SMU again, you don't want to lose that 3 times. So I think that if they beat Houston in the final regular season game and then they made the final against Houston and lost it, I think they could, inch up to a really solid 10 seed and be very dangerous. I mean, if they're at 10, the team that's at 2 is like, really? We got to, if we win this one and they win, and they upset their 7, we got to play them. I mean, there wouldn't be anybody on the 2 line that would be happy with that.
So if they beat Houston again, sweep that series, they're now comfortably in the middle 30s in the net, I would think. Maybe 38, something like that, but I don't think any worse than that. Then beat, I think it's either Wichita State again or East Carolina or somebody like that in game 1. Lose to SMU again a third time. Could that knock them out?
I doubt it because you have to remember how the other teams are performing that you're battling with, the Oregons and Indiana, Rutgers, all the teams that are in that category. I don't think it would knock them out, but you don't want to take 3 losses to the same team in the same year. I mean, that doesn't reflect well on you. It certainly would bolster SMU's chances.
Yeah, it would probably move Memphis to Dayton, right? I mean, that would be
possibly
game
again
for sure.
Yeah, it's hard to say again because you don't know what everybody else is doing. You remember the Big Ten has 3 teams that are in this same department: Indiana, Rutgers, Michigan, all trying to hang on to some some attachment to the field. Carolina, boy, I don't know if you watched them last night,
did.
But it was
I watched
not.
it.
I mean, it was hard to watch, right? It was not impressive. They were not good, and they were playing a very mediocre Syracuse team. And with at a home finale, senior night, and that's what you put out there. And so, they're a team that could knock themselves out. Remember, they still only have 1 quad 1 win. And so I think what you have to do is you just have to do your best and root for everybody else that's in your category to lose. But until that final week, it's really hard to put any certainty on what would put a team safely in or definitely out.
You said this a couple of weeks ago. I think this weekend verified it. There's no great team. We've never seen the top 6 teams in the AP poll all lose on the same day. They're all flawed, which means it's going to be a great tournament.
I think it will absolutely be a great tournament. I 100% agree. And all of the things that I talked about as the flaws in the teams were the things you saw. Kentucky, the defending of ball screens. It was a beautiful game plan by Eric Musselman to put J.D. Note and Jalen Williams in as many ball screens as they could together because Note is such a great offensive player and he can score so many ways. and Williams attacking off the bounce. If they hitting the roll, you don't have to worry about hitting him at the rim, and then he steps in and makes a layup. You can hit him immediately after the defensive move, and he can dribble it the rest of the way. So they did that beautifully and were able to beat Kentucky. And you saw Auburn with their point guard play being so erratic.
Yeah.
And so all those things are out there that every single team has. Purdue went on the road to Michigan State. So it wasn't just a one line, it was a two line. Purdue goes on the road to Michigan State, and their offensive dynamism is still there for the most part, but defensively they don't defend a significantly compromised offensive team in the Spartans, and couldn't get the win. So everybody's got something wrong, and that's what makes it really hard to predict who's going to win. But it's going to be really fun to watch.
Makes it fun for sure. Mike DeCourcy, thank you much. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next Tuesday.
Sounds great, Dave.
That's our friend, the Hall of Famer from the Sporting News, Mike DeCourcy. He is brought to you by the good folks at Conway. Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric, things like the Comfort Club. You pay up front, and it's a little reduced price than the $69 per that you're going to get for the tune-up, and they take care of you. And I don't say this enough. I really love the service that you get with Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric. They come in, the first thing they do is they put their little slippers on. They're never going to track dirt. They always clean up everything. And then they're going to be very watchful. I mean, they look for anything that could possibly go wrong with any of your systems, be it plumbing, be it electric, or being it heating and air. They're special. Find out about the Comfort Club. Heck, get your tune-up with the check of your system and all of the rest that they do so perfectly. 384-3511, Conway Services, heating, cooling, plumbing, electric. That's it for us. Johnny Radio's next.
I know